our feature presentation. We don't want to call them that, except I do when I host. So our feature presentation today is 2022's Satanic Hispanics. I know I said on the podcast we were going to talk some Stephen King. Didn't happen. So we pivoted to a cool thing. I think a much cooler thing. So Satanic Hispanics, I don't know if it debuted at Fantastic Fest, but it just had a run there. I believe they won Best Directors for a horror feature there at their festival. So I'll give you just a brief synopsis here. How would we describe this? So Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite
Yes.
is arrested, I believe, in El Paso.
In El Paso, yeah.
In El Paso, and he is telling his police captors that they better just let him go because something bad's about to happen. And this is a fucking awesome way to start an anthology movie. Regina, how did you like the setup of this guy?
I thought the setup was really neat. And it's such a it's a dark, gritty setup. You have like this it's a very clearly like serious situation. There's immigrants involved and the cops are there, and there's just like all sorts of mayhem and bad things that happened. But then the stories you get, the tone for them is also different for every story, but they're all so much fun. And then you come back to original story, and that's fine. I think the wraparound works perfectly. It's not often where you get a wraparound that works perfectly well with the stories.
You just hit the nail on the head. In doing an anthology movie that isn't just like, literally creep show, I'm tearing out pages of a comic book. The wraparound we've seen lately, Red Book or whatever that movie was called, Book of Red. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. And this one, Mike Melendez is the wraparound director, and it's awesome. It's got this, the movie's cool because, like you said, there's lots of tone shifts. There's lots of humor that I thought was kind of unexpected, along with some really dark shit and spooky stuff. But yeah, the wraparound contains all these aspects too, and I thought it was such a great setup. And this movie, I don't know where you can watch it right now. It's Alamo Drafthouse, maybe. It's in theaters, I think, maybe. So we're not going to spoil this guy. We always preface that. We'll talk about a few. We're going to kind of break down some of the things that happened in this guy. So it breaks it. We get right into chapters, right? Which I love a good title card. I love this title card.
Definitely.
I thought this was like one of the best ones I've seen in a long time. I really liked it a lot. And I forget, man, I don't want to call him Pedro, but Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite, he's really great. Like he's got this just like intensity on screen in this one that's like, it's goofy, but it's also very intense and kind of intimidating. So we start with him. He's the visitor, right? Or the traveler. The traveler. And you get way deep into his past, but it kind of starts off with almost kind of like I don't know if it's a traditional ghost story. Is it Tambien lo vi?
Yes, I think it's very much a ghost story, right? I would say it is very much your typical hunting. Yeah,
and incorporated some stuff that I actually really love to see, and I don't think is incorporated too much, which is like the arcane like mathematics. Like what a cool concept. Have you seen anything like this before?
No, I thought it was really neat, actually. Usually when they introduce anything like maths, anything related to that, I'm like going to bed.
Right.
But, it was actually like, it was very well done. It added a lot of originality to the story. There's a very creative twist on it. So I really like sort of like, I guess, that vehicle for it.
Right. It was cool, and it manifested itself in the I'll call it a short, I guess, the anthology part, in a way I didn't expect. It was totally, it kind of takes you for a loop there. That one in particular had you guessing lots and lots about what was happening. And then one of the creepiest ghost zombie things I've seen in a very, very long time. A very, very unique. And so and this one, I think that one gets started because this guy was he was like, this isn't a spoiler, he was like one of the dead people found where he was discovered, I guess,
Right.
because there's something chasing him down. But we move on to another one, which is a vampire.
El Vampiro.
El Vampiro. Give me your impressions and thoughts of El Vampiro.
I loved it. Let me count the ways. No, I really loved it because you have this dark, creepy story, and then you get this vampire who looks like a young Grandpa Munster.
Yeah.
Classic vampire look, and you have a vampire who's on. All I'm gonna say about the plot of this one is you have a vampire out of town who's got to make curfew.
Right. He may be a dollar late and a buck short, but it's a very fun, and like you said, the shift into that, into a kind of a lighthearted, kind of goofy even short, that doesn't always work, but here it just totally kind of was seamless. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it would be very easy to do this story because it's not a far stretch to call this story cute, okay? Because I found
Absolutely
it kind of adorable.
Absolutely not. Yeah, heartwarming even.
It never falls into the camp part really. It's cute and it's fun and it's enjoyable and you can still go back. Don't skip a beat and you'll end back in the scary stuff again.
It was so cool. It was such a fun little departure, and great little bit of acting and just super fun. I guess we shouldn't break down every little one, but we're going to. So we move on to it's the Gigi Salguero, who has been nice enough to be on this here podcast in the past. How do you say this? Nahuales?
Nahuales is my
Nahuales? So this was maybe the most difficult one for me, and not to say I didn't like it. I just found it a little different and a little maybe not as freshly paced. What were your impressions?
I think this one gets it has a lot to do with folklore, and I think maybe the folklore is a little overpowering, right? For me. And I think I can see how after Vampiro it's kind of like slows the pace. Still, it has a lot of cool visuals in it. I think it would be I think it's a really cool story. I think maybe I would have liked to switch the order of the stories around a little bit though.
I'm so glad you said that because that was going to be my next question. As we kind of rounded the bases here into this movie, I felt like it should have been segmented differently, and that might be my only real criticism for this flick. I thought that one in particular, because it's real deep folklore stuff, and not that's awesome. We typically love that stuff here. And like I said, it's good. It just felt weird. I would have almost liked to started with that one somehow.
I feel like that would have been a good starter definitely,
because it would have set you up. It would have been really pretty dark, and like we won't really get into it because we won't spoil anything, but it's one of the more darker tales, and it would have been nice to kind of like go take the gradient lighter as we finished off the flick, and which brings me to The Hammer of Zanzibar. Which is an amazing title for anything. It should be at least a Magnum condom brand or something. Yeah, right. I think it's gotta be.
Or a really giant sandwich.
Yeah, like one of those ones that feeds like
Hammer of Zanzibar.
Yeah, I can see Scooby-Doo and Shaggy eating it towards each other. So this one I thought was the most fun out of all of them. Wacky, and I don't think we should get into this one too much.
Right. It's very it's got lots of twists and turns and surprises.
It does, and that one, in more than the other ones, it plays a bigger role into the overall wraparound. Which for Hammer of Zanzibar, I'll just say this just to kind of to tease your loins. It's penetrative. It's big, yeah, and it gets you right to the end.
Oh.
Oh, I like that reaction. I like that reaction. All right, so so we finally get to our wraparound, and again, I thought one of the coolest effects in the entire movie was in the wraparound here towards the end. So it really kind of it leads you. This movie really leads you along to a really cool finale. And you know, I just general thoughts on the end, overall impressions of the wraparound. How'd you feel about how it wrapped up?
I liked it. We get a really cool payoff, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Our story comes full circle, and everything we saw basically leading up to it all plays a part in it. So Pedro's story.
Yes.
And now I can't think of his name at all.
I know, we're awful. Patrick's
Poor
gonna be so
Pedro.
mad at us. Yeah, poor Pedro. But you know what? I Pedro, more power to you, buddy. And
Hey, Matt's an iconic character.
yeah, hope
No
you
one
find
else
your
can
way.
be Pedro.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Everybody knows what you're talking about. Yeah, I hope he found his way out of El Paso. So Satanic Hispanics, Regina. We're gonna do this the old-fashioned way. Are you gonna do a C or a no C on this guy?
See, watch Satanic Hispanics. Watch it with your satanic mechanic.
Man, I need one of those. But does he do transmission work? Because I'm still
I
having
think he does.
still having hell. Great, great. I too will say just maybe the highest recommend of the year for Satanic Hispanics. It was uh just a really good time, and great acting, great directing. Had a lot of fun with it. So